we just got a new Superman trailer.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now the trailer opens up with Superman fighting the big kaiju and buildings falling over like dominoes, and then Superman saving people from the falling building. And behind we hear Lex Luthor going on the most comic book villainous monologue ever. Now I'm just gonna read this out to you. He says, "Superman, the most powerful being on planet Earth, we finally meet. Now as planned, I'll destroy you, and of course that reporter you always interview with, who raised you as a child, I'll kill them too." And then Superman replies later in the trailer with, "No matter what you do to me, Luthor, your plan won't work." Now this sounds like I'm watching a Superman comic book as a movie, and I love that feeling. I love that we finally have a Lex Luthor who's not a tech influencer or a tech billionaire who's weird. We have a Lex Luthor that's just egoistic and straight up evil, doing these villain monologues to Superman, and I really love that. I love that goofy feeling, and it's goofy in a good way. I love to see that this movie truly feels like a comic book that has come to life. Now as the trailer goes on, we see Lex Luthor arrive at Superman's Arctic base, or his fortress of solitude. We see him go in to the fortress with the engineer and Ultraman with him, and I think the monologue that we hear throughout these parts are what he initially says to Superman. Then we see many shots of Ma and Pa Kent. We see shots of Lois Lane. Everyone he mentions in his threat we kind of see. And in this shot where he looks back, you can see Metamorpho chained up in this place. Now this is the quantum unfolding chamber, or the QUC. The QUC is kind of this in-between dimension where people use it for storage. Now we initially saw this in Peacemaker Season 1 and in a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, where John Cena and James Gunn both appeared. James Gunn confirmed that the QUC technology we saw in Peacemaker Season 1 will make its return on Superman and is also heavily featured on Peacemaker Season 2. Now the interview was about Peacemaker Season 2, so he went into that a bit, how this technology will be a central part, and we kind of see it in the trailer with a second Peacemaker appearing. Now I'm not gonna go to that right now, but I'm just gonna say that this quantum unfolding chamber is definitely where Lex Luthor has his metahuman prison, where he is holding Superman, Metamorpho, and other metahumans. Now, James Gunn also mentioned that many Justice League characters will also appear in Peacemaker Season 2, which makes me really, really excited. And I think that the QUC would play a huge role in James Gunn explaining how Peacemaker has traveled from the DCEU to the DCU. Because if you remember, in one of the last scenes for Peacemaker Season 1, the DCEU Justice League appeared with Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa's face showing. And in the new DCU, those characters don't exist anymore, and Jason Momoa is actually playing Lobo in the new Supergirl movie. So I think he could use the quantum unfolding chamber as a gateway where Christopher Smith came from the DCEU into the DCU. Now, with the Peacemaker tangent aside, we see the scene that we have seen in mini marketing material where Superman is being beaten badly by Ultraman and he's all bloodied up. And then we see his Superbots bring him into his Fortress of Solitude and have him regenerate with that magnified sun. And then we see some amazing floating shots of Superman fighting both the Hammer of Baravia and the kaiju we have seen, and this cinematography looks really, really cool. I see what James Gunn meant when he said that they're taking cues from Top Gun Maverick, almost shooting Superman like a plane instead of a flying human, and I really see the vision, and it looks really, really good. Now we see two shots back to back of the Hammer of Baravia and both Ultraman fighting Superman and using the exact same looking laser that also looks really similar to Superman's laser as well. Now I'm gonna go into this theory a little bit later on, but I think that the Hammer of Baravia and Ultraman are both the same person, and that person is a clone of Clark Kent, who will later turn into Bizarro in this movie. Now as we go on, we see Superman saying good luck with that to Lex, then he punches this Luthor soldier and pops his teeth out, and we see this giant fissure being created from the ocean. into the city, and I think this is where the final battle will take place, and Metropolis will kind of split in half, and we see later on that Superman is fighting Ultraman in this giant crack that appeared in the middle of the city. Then we go to the stadium fight where Ultraman is fighting Superman, and you can see, if you squint really hard, you can see that in the background the engineer has already beaten Mr. Terrific. You can see the little T-spheres lying around him, and he's in a crater. So I think it's gonna be Superman and Mr. Terrific going up against the engineer and Ultraman, but Mr. Terrific gets beaten down, and then it becomes a one-on-one fight between Ultraman and Superman. We see this really cool shot of Mr. Terrific and all his T-spheres. We see the people at the Daily Planet, and now we have the most interesting shot of the trailer where Superman and Metamorpho are in the QUC. You can see Crypto on the corner of the frame there as well. And the best part, Superman is holding this weird looking baby. Now this, I think, is the son of Metamorpho, who I think Lex Luthor will kidnap and then use that to manipulate Metamorpho into holding Superman hostage. And I think Superman is going to break out of his chamber, save the baby, and then save Metamorpho as well from the QUC, and then he's going into the final battle with Ultraman. Then we see Lois Lane and the people from Daily Planet fly in Mr. Terrific's ship. And now we see another amazing part of the trailer. Now, if you look here, it's Ultraman and Superman fighting. But if you notice closely, Ultraman is not wearing his mask. When Clark swings this pole around, you can barely see his long hair. And in the later shot where he appears for a few frames, his face has been blackened. So Ultraman's face is going to be a big reveal in the movie, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be another David Corenswet or Bizarro Superman fighting him here, and I think he will be unmasked at this state of the film. Then we see the conflict with Boravia and the people on the opposition, the helpless protesters chanting for Superman, and then we see that scene of Superman saving the little girl from the kaiju and Lex Luthor yelling, "They chose him, let them die." I think this is him talking about the collateral damage that he's doing and the innocent people he's killing, and he's just chalking it up to the people choosing Superman instead of him, again playing into his ego. Then we see Mr. Terrific yelling at Superman to quit messing around, and Superman says he's doing important stuff. And then we see the best shot in the trailer. We see this really cool close-up of Superman's suit and his emblem, and then we zoom out, pan around, and we see him using his laser vision to fight all of these Lex soldiers, and he just turns on in a tornado using his laser. It looks really cool. And then we end with a shot where the joke says, "Hey buddy, eyes up here," and then we follow Superman up, showing some of the scenery of him flying, and that the movie will be available in IMAX. Now let me know in the comments below what you think about my theories. Like this video, share it if you liked it, and subscribe for more.